Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract success while others struggle in poverty? What if the key to wealth, health, and happiness lies not in external circumstances, but within your own mind? Today, we'll unlock the wisdom of James Allen's timeless classic, From Poverty to Power, where you'll discover how your thoughts and inner virtues shape your destiny. Stay with me as we walk through the chapters of this life-changing book and uncover the secrets to true prosperity and lasting peace. Part 1. Chapter 1. The Lesson of Evil. Imagine walking down a quiet street, perhaps in the early hours of the morning. The air is cool and the world feels still. Yet inside you, there is turmoil. Your mind races with thoughts about everything that's gone wrong in your life. The challenges at work, the strained relationships, the constant feeling that you're not where you want to be. As you reflect on these things, a question arises. Why is life filled with so much hardship? Why do I seem to struggle endlessly while others seem to glide through life, unaffected by the obstacles that weigh me down? This, James Allen tells us, is a question that all of us, at some point, must confront. But his answer to the question might surprise you. For Allen, the source of our suffering, our struggles, and even the evils we encounter in life does not come from external forces like bad luck, unfair circumstances, or the cruelty of others. Instead, he invites us to look inwards. The root of our suffering, he argues, lies within us. The evil that we experience is not some mysterious force that controls our lives from the outside. It's something we create, often without realizing it, through our thoughts and actions. At first glance, this idea might seem disheartening. After all, if our suffering comes from within us, does that mean we are responsible for all the bad things that happen in our lives? In a sense, yes. But Allen's message is not one of blame or guilt. Rather, it is a message of empowerment. If we are the source of our suffering, we also have the power to end it. This, Allen tells us, is the great lesson of evil, that we are not helpless victims of our circumstances. Instead, we are powerful creators of our own reality, and by changing our thoughts and actions, we can change the course of our lives. To understand how this works, let's take a closer look at what Allen means by evil. In his view, evil is not some external force that exists independently of us. Instead, it is the result of ignorance, a kind of blindness to the deeper truths of life. When we act out of ignorance, when we make decisions based on fear, anger, greed, or selfishness, we inevitably create suffering for ourselves and others. This suffering might come in the form of financial struggles, broken relationships, poor health, or a general sense of dissatisfaction with life. But whatever form it takes, its root cause is always the same. We are acting in ways that are out of alignment with the deeper laws of life. Allen uses the metaphor of a garden to illustrate this point. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you neglect it, if you allow weeds to grow unchecked, if you fail to plant good seeds or water the soil, what will happen? The garden will become overgrown and unproductive. Weeds will choke out the flowers, and the garden will no longer be a place of beauty or abundance. In the same way, if we neglect our minds, if we allow negative thoughts and emotions to take root, if we fail to cultivate positive habits and attitudes, our lives will become filled with suffering. But just as a garden can be restored to health through careful tending, so too can our lives be transformed by cultivating the right thoughts and actions. This is the first key lesson of Allen's philosophy. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts. If you want to change your circumstances, you must first change the way you think. This might sound simple, but in practice, it can be incredibly challenging. After all, we are often so deeply entrenched in our habits of thought that we don't even realize how they are shaping our lives. We might find ourselves thinking, if only I had a better job, or a more understanding partner, or more money, then I would be happy. But Allen tells us that this kind of thinking is misguided. Our happiness does not depend on external circumstances, it depends on our internal state of mind. Let's return to the metaphor of the garden. Just as a neglected garden cannot produce good fruit, a mind filled with negative, selfish, or fearful thoughts cannot produce happiness or success. If we want to experience joy, peace, and prosperity, we must first uproot the weeds in our minds, the thoughts and beliefs that are keeping us trapped in a cycle of suffering. But how do we do this? How do we begin the process of transforming our minds and, by extension, our lives? According to Alan, the first step is to take responsibility for our own thoughts and actions. This can be a difficult pill to swallow, especially if we are used to blaming external factors for our problems. But Alan insists that true freedom begins when we stop looking for someone or something to blame and start taking ownership of our own lives. This is not to say that external circumstances don't matter. Of course they do. But Alan's point is that we always have a choice in how we respond to those circumstances. If we respond with anger, fear, or resentment, we will only create more suffering for ourselves. But if we respond with calmness, clarity, and a positive attitude, we can begin to change our reality. Alan also emphasizes that this is not a process that happens overnight. Just as a neglected garden takes time to be restored to health, so too does the mind require patience and persistence in order to be transformed. It is a lifelong journey, one that requires daily attention and care. But the rewards, Alan assures us, are well worth the effort. So, what does this transformation look like in practice? How do we begin to uproot the weeds in our minds and plant the seeds of positive thoughts and actions? Alan provides a simple but powerful answer by focusing on virtues such as kindness, purity, and righteousness. These are the good seeds that will produce a life of happiness and success. Kindness, Alan tells us, is not just about being nice to others. It is about cultivating a deep sense of compassion and understanding, both for ourselves and for others. When we approach life with a spirit of kindness, we create a ripple effect that spreads out into the world. Our actions become aligned with the deeper laws of life, and as a result, we attract positive experiences and opportunities. Purity, in Alan's view, is about maintaining a clear and focused mind. It means avoiding thoughts and actions that are driven by selfishness, greed, or fear. Instead, we strive to live with integrity, honesty, and a sense of purpose. When our minds are pure, we are better able to see the truth of any situation, and we are less likely to be swayed by negative influences. Righteousness, meanwhile, is about living in alignment with the deeper truths of life. It means acting in ways that are ethical, just, and true. When we live righteously, we are not only benefiting ourselves, but we are also contributing to the greater good of society. In this way, the path to personal success is also a path to collective well-being. In summary, Alan's message in this chapter is both simple and profound. The key to overcoming suffering and evil lies within us. By taking responsibility for our thoughts and actions, by cultivating virtues such as kindness, purity, and righteousness, and by aligning ourselves with the deeper laws of life, we can transform our reality. The journey from poverty to power begins with the realization that we are the creators of our own lives. Chapter 2. The World, a Reflex of Mental States. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything around you, your job, your relationships, your financial situation, even the way the world treats you, is a reflection of your inner state. It's a startling realization, isn't it? The world, with all its complexities, joys, and sorrows, mirrors your inner thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. This is the powerful message that James Allen brings to us in the second chapter of From Poverty to Power. The idea that the external world is a reflection of our mental state is not new, but Allen presents it with such clarity that it becomes impossible to ignore. He begins by asking us to imagine our lives as a vast landscape. Every thought we have is like a brushstroke on the canvas of this landscape. Some thoughts create beautiful meadows filled with flowers, while others paint harsh, barren deserts. The point Allen makes is simple but profound. Your external reality is shaped by the thoughts you hold in your mind. This concept might sound abstract, but let's break it down in a way that makes it practical and applicable. Think about a time when you were in a bad mood. Maybe you were stressed about a deadline or upset after an argument with a loved one. How did the world look to you in that moment? Chances are, everything seemed a little more difficult. people seemed less friendly, and even small inconveniences felt like major setbacks. This is a perfect example of how your mental state affects the way you experience the world. Now imagine the opposite. Think about a day when you were feeling great, perhaps after receiving good news or spending time with someone you care about. On those days, the world probably seemed brighter, more welcoming, and full of possibilities. The same traffic jam that would have frustrated you on a bad day might not have bothered you at all. The key difference in these two scenarios wasn't the world itself, it was your mental state. Alan takes this everyday observation and expands it into a guiding principle for life. Your thoughts shape your reality. This is more than just a feel-good statement. It's a powerful tool for transformation. If you can accept that the world is a reflection of your mental state, then changing your circumstances becomes as simple as changing your thoughts. But how does this work in practice? Let's take a closer look at how Alan explains the connection between mental states and external conditions. According to Alan, there are two main states of mind that shape our reality: poverty and power. Poverty, in Alan's view, is not just a lack of material wealth. It's a mindset of scarcity, fear, and self-doubt. When we dwell in thoughts of lack, we begin to see the world as a place of limited opportunities. We convince ourselves that there isn't enough to go around, whether it's money, love, or success, and as a result, we settle for less than we deserve. This mindset of poverty can manifest in many ways. Perhaps you find yourself stuck in a dead-end job because you believe you're not qualified for anything better. Or maybe you stay in an unhealthy relationship because you're afraid of being alone. In these cases, it's not the external circumstances that are keeping you trapped. It's your belief that you can't have anything more. On the other hand, power is a state of mind characterized by abundance, confidence, and clarity. When we cultivate thoughts of power, we begin to see the world as a place of limitless possibilities. We trust in our ability to create the life we want, and as a result, we attract opportunities that align with our desires. This doesn't mean that challenges disappear. Rather, it means that we approach those challenges with a sense of strength and resilience. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, we see them as opportunities for growth. To illustrate this concept, Alan gives us the example of two people who face the same external challenge. Let's say both individuals lose their jobs. The first person, who is stuck in a poverty mindset, might immediately spiral into despair. They focus on everything that's gone wrong, blame the economy or their boss, and convince themselves that they'll never find another job. This negative thinking not only makes them feel worse, but it also clouds their ability to see potential solutions. The second person, however, operates from a mindset of power. While they may feel disappointed by the job loss, they don't let it define them. Instead of focusing on what they've lost, they focus on what they can gain. They take proactive steps to find new opportunities, whether it's by updating their resume, networking with others, or even starting their own business. This person views the job loss not as a failure, but as a chance to pivot and explore new possibilities. As a result, they are much more likely to find a new job or create a new source of income. Alan's point is clear. It's not the external circumstances that determine our success or failure. It's our mental attitude. The world simply reflects back to us the thoughts we hold in our minds. If we believe in scarcity, we will experience lack. If we believe in abundance, we will experience prosperity. This might sound too good to be true, but Alan is quick to clarify that this transformation doesn't happen overnight. Just as a neglected garden takes time to bloom again, so too does the mind require time and effort to be reshaped. It's not enough to simply think positive thoughts every once in a while. We must cultivate a mental attitude of abundance and power consistently, day after day. This brings us to another important point: the power of consistency. Just as a muscle grows stronger with regular exercise, so too does our mental state grow stronger with regular practice. If we want to change our reality, we must be willing to do the inner work every single day. This means paying close attention to the thoughts we entertain and consciously replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. It means developing habits of gratitude, optimism, and self-belief. Over time, these small shifts in our thinking will begin to create significant changes in our external world. But how do we maintain this consistency, especially when the world around us seems to be working against us? Alan offers a powerful solution: meditation and self-reflection. By taking time each day to quiet the mind and tune into our deeper selves, we can gain the clarity and strength needed to stay focused on our goals. Meditation helps us to step back from the noise of the external world and reconnect with our inner power. It reminds us that no matter what challenges we face, we have the ability to create the reality we desire. In essence, the message of this chapter is one of empowerment. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your own reality. The world is a mirror that reflects back to you the thoughts and beliefs you hold about yourself and your life. If you want to change your circumstances, you must first change your mental state. This might sound like a daunting task, but Alan assures us that it's possible for anyone who is willing to put in the work. The journey from poverty to power begins in the mind, and with patience, persistence, and a clear sense of purpose, anyone can make this journey. Chapter 3: The Way Out of Undesirable Conditions. Imagine a life where every undesirable circumstance that you find yourself in, whether it's financial hardship, poor health, or difficult relationships, can be traced back to the thoughts you hold and the decisions you make. It sounds extreme, but this is the powerful idea James Allen presents in the 3rd chapter of From Poverty to Power. The conditions we find ourselves in, no matter how daunting or overwhelming they may seem, are not the product of random chance. They are the result of the mental and moral decisions we make every day. In other words, our circumstances are shaped by us. And if that's true, then the good news is that we can change them. Alan's message here is both sobering and empowering. On the one hand, it places the responsibility for our current conditions squarely on our shoulders. No longer can we blame fate, bad luck, or the actions of others for the situations we find ourselves in. But on the other hand, it also gives us the power to create new and better circumstances. If we have the ability to create undesirable conditions, then we also have the power to create desirable ones. So how do we begin to transform our lives and escape from the undesirable conditions we find ourselves in? The answer, Alan tells us, lies in taking responsibility for our thoughts and actions. This is not an easy task, especially when we are used to thinking of ourselves as victims of external forces. But Alan insists that the first step toward freedom and success is to recognize that we are the creators of our own reality. Consider this. Every decision you've ever made, every action you've ever taken, has contributed to the life you are living right now. Even the thoughts you've entertained, whether positive or negative, have played a role in shaping your circumstances. If you constantly think thoughts of fear, doubt, and lack, you are likely to make decisions that reinforce those thoughts. For example, if you believe that you're not good enough to achieve your goals, you might shy away from opportunities that could help you grow. Or if you believe that the world is a hostile and unfair place, you might approach situations with a defensive attitude, which could push people away and limit your success. But here's the key. Just as your past thoughts and actions have created your current reality, your present thoughts and actions have the power to create a new reality. You are not stuck in your current circumstances unless you choose to be. By changing the way you think and act, you can begin to change the conditions of your life. It won't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, you can gradually transform your reality. Alan compares this process to navigating a ship. Imagine that you are the captain of a ship, and your mind is the steering wheel. The direction in which you steer your ship determines where you will end up. If you steer toward negative, limiting thoughts, you will end up in a place of struggle and hardship. But if you steer toward positive, empowering thoughts, you will find yourself in a place of success and fulfillment. You are always in control of the wheel, and it is your thoughts that determine the course of your life. But what if your ship has already drifted into stormy waters? What if you've made mistakes in the past and now find yourself in a difficult situation? Alan's answer is simple. It's never too late to change course. No matter how far you've drifted, you always have the power to steer your life in a new direction. The key is to stop blaming external factors for your situation and take full responsibility for your own thoughts and actions. This is a radical idea, and it can be difficult to accept. After all, it's much easier to blame others for our problems than to admit that we've played a role in creating them. But Alan insists that until we take responsibility for our own lives, we will remain stuck in undesirable conditions. The moment we stop making excuses and start taking ownership of our thoughts and actions, we begin to regain control of our lives. So how do we start this process of transformation? Alan offers several practical steps that can help us escape from undesirable conditions and create a better life. First, he encourages us to cultivate self-discipline. If you want to change your life, you must be willing to change your habits. This means taking control of your thoughts and actions, even when it's difficult. For example, if you find yourself constantly thinking negative thoughts, you must develop the discipline to stop those thoughts in their tracks and replace them with positive ones. If you have a habit of procrastinating, you must develop the discipline to take action, even when you don't feel like it. Self-discipline is the foundation of all personal growth, and without it, true transformation is impossible. Second, Alan emphasizes the importance of persistence. Changing your life is not a quick or easy process. It requires consistent effort over time. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way, but the key is to keep going, even when the going gets tough. Alan reminds us that the people who achieve the greatest success in life are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate. They are simply the ones who refuse to give up. Persistence is the key to overcoming obstacles and creating lasting change. Third, Alan encourages us to develop a positive mental attitude. This doesn't mean pretending that everything is perfect when it's not. It means choosing to focus on the good in every situation, rather than dwelling on the negative. It means looking for opportunities and challenges, rather than seeing them as setbacks. A positive mental attitude is not just about thinking happy thoughts. It's about developing the resilience and optimism needed to keep moving forward, even in the face of difficulties. Finally, Alan reminds us of the importance of faith. This is not necessarily religious faith, but rather a deep inner belief in the goodness of life and the power of your own potential. It's the belief that, no matter what challenges you face, you have the ability to overcome them. Faith gives you the courage to keep going, even when the path ahead is uncertain. It allows you to trust that everything is unfolding for your highest good, even when you can't see the bigger picture. Alan's message in this chapter is clear. The way out of undesirable conditions lies within you. You have the power to create the life you want, but it requires taking responsibility for your own thoughts and actions. It requires cultivating self-discipline, persistence, a positive mental attitude, and faith. If you are willing to do the inner work, you can transform your life and escape from the conditions that are holding you back. This is not to say that external circumstances don't matter. Of course they do. But Alan's point is that you always have a choice in how you respond to those circumstances. You can choose to see yourself as a victim, or you can choose to see yourself as the creator of your own reality. The choice is yours. In the end, Alan leaves us with a powerful reminder. You are not a prisoner of your past. No matter what mistakes you've made or what challenges you've faced, you always have the power to create a new future. The way out of undesirable conditions is to take responsibility for your own life and start making choices that align with the future you want to create. Chapter 4. The Silent Power of Thought. Controlling and Directing One's Forces. Imagine your mind as a vast ocean. On the surface, it may seem calm and quiet, but deep beneath, there are powerful currents constantly moving and shaping the waters. This is how James Allen introduces us to the idea of the silent power of thought. Thoughts, though often invisible and seemingly fleeting, have immense power. They are the unseen forces that direct the course of our lives, just as those deep ocean currents shape the movement of water. In this chapter, Allen reveals the secret of controlling and directing this silent power, showing us how mastering our thoughts is the key to mastering our destiny. As we navigate through life, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of external events, the responsibilities of work, the demands of relationships, the challenges of daily life. But Alan urges us to take a step back and realize that behind every external event, behind every success or failure, there is a thought. Thoughts are like seeds planted in the soil of our minds. Some of these seeds will grow into beautiful, life-giving plants, while others may become weeds that choke out the potential for growth. The question is, what kind of seeds are you planting? In this chapter, Alan invites us to reflect on the fact that we are constantly planting seeds with every thought we entertain. Whether we realize it or not, our thoughts have a direct impact on the quality of our lives. Positive, empowering thoughts lead to positive, empowering actions, which in turn create positive, empowering results. Negative, self-defeating thoughts lead to negative actions and results. The law is as simple as it is profound. What you think, you become. To illustrate this idea, let's consider two individuals with vastly different mindsets. The first individual believes in the power of their own potential. They think thoughts of abundance, confidence, and resilience. When faced with a challenge, they see it as an opportunity to grow and learn. They direct their energy toward finding solutions and taking action, rather than dwelling on the problem. As a result, their life unfolds in a way that reflects their positive mental state. They attract success, opportunities, and fulfilling relationships. The second individual, however, entertains thoughts of fear, doubt, and limitation. When faced with a challenge, they focus on everything that could go wrong. They dwell on their past failures and convince themselves that they are not capable of overcoming obstacles. As a result, their energy is drained, and they are unable to take effective action. Their life becomes a reflection of their negative mental state. They experience setbacks, missed opportunities, and dissatisfaction. Alan's message here is clear. Your thoughts are the driving force behind your life experiences. Whether you realize it or not, the way you think determines the way you live. If you want to change your life, you must first change your thoughts. But how do we go about doing this? How do we learn to control and direct the silent power of thought? The first step, Alan tells us, is awareness. We must become aware of the thoughts we are thinking on a daily basis. Most of us go through life on autopilot, allowing our minds to be filled with whatever thoughts happen to arise. But this is a dangerous habit. Just as a ship without a captain will drift aimlessly in the ocean, a mind without conscious direction will drift into negativity, fear, and doubt. To regain control of our lives, we must first take control of our thoughts. This means paying close attention to the mental dialogue that goes on in our minds and becoming aware of the patterns of thinking that shape our actions. Once we have developed this awareness, the next step is discipline. Controlling our thoughts is not something that happens automatically. It requires effort and discipline, especially in the beginning. Just as a muscle needs regular exercise to grow strong, our minds need regular practice to develop the ability to focus on positive, empowering thoughts. This doesn't mean forcing ourselves to think happy thoughts all the time. Rather, it means training ourselves to focus on thoughts that are constructive and aligned with our goals. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," stop and challenge that thought. Is it really true? What evidence do you have to support it? Instead of allowing that thought to take root and grow into a belief, replace it with a thought that is more empowering. I am capable, and I can learn and grow. Over time, this practice of consciously choosing empowering thoughts will become a habit, and your mind will naturally gravitate toward thoughts that support your success. Alan also emphasizes the importance of concentration. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with distractions, emails, social media, news, and the demands of daily life. It's easy to let our minds become scattered, jumping from one thought to the next without focus. But if we want to harness the silent power of thought, we must learn to concentrate our mental energy on what truly matters. This means developing the ability to focus on a single thought or task without being pulled away by distractions. To develop concentration, Alan suggests setting aside time each day for meditation or focused thinking. This could be as simple as sitting quietly for a few minutes and focusing on your breath, or it could involve reflecting on a particular goal or problem that you want to solve. The key is to train your mind to stay focused on one thing at a time. As you practice this, you'll find that your ability to concentrate improves, and you'll be able to direct your mental energy more effectively toward achieving your goals. One of the most powerful ideas in this chapter is that thoughts are like magnets. They have a natural tendency to attract similar thoughts, emotions, and experiences. This is why it's so important to cultivate positive, empowering thoughts, because these thoughts will attract more of the same. When you focus on thoughts of abundance, for example, you'll begin to notice opportunities for abundance all around you. When you focus on thoughts of gratitude, you'll begin to feel more grateful for the blessings in your life, and this gratitude will attract even more good things to you. Conversely, when you focus on negative thoughts, thoughts of fear, lack, or resentment, these thoughts will attract more negativity into your life. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. The more you think negatively, the more negative experiences you will have, and the more negative experiences you have, the more negatively you will think. This is why breaking the cycle of negative thinking is so important. By consciously choosing positive thoughts, you can begin to attract positive experiences and create a new cycle of success and happiness. Alan also touches on the idea that thoughts are creative. Every invention, every great work of art, every scientific discovery began as a thought in someone's mind. Our thoughts have the power to create not only our personal reality, but also the world around us. When we focus our thoughts on a particular goal or vision, we begin to set in motion the creative forces that will bring that vision to life. This is why it's so important to think clearly and intentionally about what we want to create in our lives. When we direct our thoughts toward a specific outcome, we begin to attract the resources, people, and opportunities that will help us achieve that outcome. In summary, the silent power of thought is one of the most important forces in our lives. Thoughts shape our reality. They determine the course of our lives, the opportunities we attract, and the challenges we face. By becoming aware of our thoughts, developing the discipline to choose empowering thoughts, and cultivating the ability to concentrate our mental energy, we can harness the power of thought to create the life we desire. Alan reminds us that we are not powerless in the face of life's challenges. We have the ability to control and direct our thoughts, and by doing so, we can control and direct our lives. The question Alan leaves us with is simple but profound. What kind of life do you want to create? The answer begins with the thoughts you think today. Chapter 5. The Secret of Health, Success, and Power. Imagine walking through life with a deep, unshakable sense of vitality, purpose, and clarity. You are healthy, not just in body, but also in mind and spirit. Success flows toward you naturally, and you feel empowered, able to handle any challenge that comes your way. This is not a distant dream or an unattainable ideal. According to James Allen, it is the natural result of living in harmony with the silent laws of life. In The Secret of Health, Success, and Power, Allen reveals that these three qualities, health, success, and power, are interconnected, and they are all rooted in the quality of our thoughts. At first glance, it may seem that health, success, and power are things that come from external sources. We tend to think of health as something that depends on our diet, exercise, and medical care. Success is often seen as a result of hard work, luck, or the right connections. Power, we might believe, comes from status, wealth, or influence. But Allen challenges us to look deeper. He argues that true health, success, and power come from within. They are not the result of external circumstances, but the natural outcome of a mind that is aligned with the principles of truth, purity, and strength. Let's begin with health. In Allen's view, health is not just about the absence of disease. It's about a state of harmony and balance between the body, mind, and spirit. This harmony, he argues, is largely determined by our thoughts. Just as negative thoughts can create stress, anxiety, and illness, positive and harmonious thoughts can promote health and vitality. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to radiate health and energy even in the face of difficulties? This, Allen suggests, is because they have cultivated a mindset of peace, gratitude, and self-control. Their thoughts are not scattered or chaotic. Instead, they are focused and aligned with the natural rhythms of life. One of the key points Alan makes about health is that our thoughts directly affect our physical well-being. Modern science is now beginning to confirm what Alan understood over a century ago. The mind and body are deeply interconnected. Stress, for example, can weaken the immune system, raise blood pressure, and contribute to a wide range of illnesses. On the other hand, a calm and positive mindset can boost the immune system, lower stress levels, and promote overall well-being. This is why Alan encourages us to cultivate thoughts of peace, love, and gratitude. These thoughts not only create a sense of inner calm, but also promote physical health. But what if you're already struggling with illness or poor health? Alan's message is one of hope. He reminds us that, just as negative thinking can contribute to illness, positive thinking can contribute to healing. This doesn't mean that we can simply think our way out of every illness, but it does mean that our mindset plays a crucial role in our recovery. When we focus on thoughts of health, vitality, and healing, we create an internal environment that supports the body's natural ability to heal itself. On the other hand, when we dwell on thoughts of fear, worry, or illness, we may unintentionally prolong or worsen our condition. The secret to health, according to Alan, lies in mental discipline. Just as we must take care of our bodies through proper nutrition and exercise, we must also take care of our minds by feeding them positive, life-affirming thoughts. When we do this consistently, we create a state of harmony between the mind and body, and this harmony naturally leads to health. Now let's turn to success. What does it mean to be successful? For many people, success is defined by external achievements, wealth, status, recognition. But Alan challenges this narrow definition. He argues that true success is not measured by what we achieve externally, but by the inner qualities we cultivate. Success, he says, is the natural result of living in alignment with the laws of life. It comes from developing qualities like integrity, persistence, and self-discipline. Consider for a moment the people you admire most, whether they are leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, or thinkers. What makes them successful? Is it just their external achievements, or is it something deeper? According to Alan, success begins with character. People who are truly successful have cultivated the inner qualities that allow them to navigate challenges, take risks, and persevere in the face of adversity. They are not easily swayed by setbacks or failures because they have developed a strong sense of purpose and resilience. Alan also emphasizes that success is not just about what you achieve for yourself. It's about how you contribute to the world. He reminds us that true success is rooted in service. Those who live with the intention of making the world a better place, who seek to uplift others and act with compassion and generosity, are the ones who experience the deepest and most lasting success. This is because they are in harmony with the natural laws of life, which are based on love, cooperation, and unity. But how do we achieve this kind of success? Alan offers several key principles. First, he reminds us of the importance of vision. Success begins with a clear vision of what we want to create. This vision acts as a guiding star, helping us stay focused and motivated even when the road gets tough. Without a clear vision, we are like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly through life. But with a vision, we have a sense of purpose and direction. Next, Alan emphasizes the importance of self-discipline. Success requires consistent effort and the ability to stay focused on our goals, even when distractions arise. This means developing the discipline to work hard, manage our time effectively, and resist the temptation to give up when things get difficult. Self-discipline is the foundation of all success, and without it, even the most talented individuals will struggle to achieve their goals. Finally, Alan reminds us of the power of faith. This is not blind faith in something external, but a deep, inner faith in our own abilities and in the goodness of life. When we have faith in ourselves and in the process of life, we are able to move forward with confidence, even when the outcome is uncertain. Faith gives us the strength to keep going, to take risks, and to trust that everything is unfolding as it should. The final piece of this puzzle is power. In Alan's view, power is not about control or domination. It's about inner strength and self-mastery. True power comes from the ability to control one's thoughts, emotions, and actions. It's the ability to stay calm and centered in the face of challenges, to act with integrity and purpose, and to remain focused on what truly matters. Alan argues that power is a natural byproduct of living in alignment with the laws of life. When we cultivate qualities like self-discipline, integrity, and faith, we naturally become more powerful. This is because we are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances. We are in control of our own thoughts and actions. This kind of power is not about forcing our will on others or trying to manipulate the world to our advantage. Instead, it's about developing the inner strength to navigate life with grace, courage, and clarity. Power, like success and health, begins in the mind. When we learn to master our thoughts, we become the masters of our own destiny. This is the ultimate secret that Alan reveals in this chapter. The power to create the life we desire lies within us. It's not something that comes from external sources. It's something we cultivate through our thoughts, actions, and beliefs. In summary, the secret of health, success, and power is simple but profound. It all begins with the mind. By cultivating positive, empowering thoughts, we create a state of harmony between the mind and body, which naturally leads to health. By developing qualities like vision, self-discipline, and faith, we set ourselves up for success. And by mastering our thoughts and emotions, we cultivate the inner strength that leads to true power. Alan's message is one of empowerment. We have the ability to create the life we want. The key is to align our thoughts and actions with the laws of life. The journey from poverty to power, from sickness to health, and from failure to success begins with the mind. When we understand and apply the principles that Alan shares in this chapter, we unlock the door to a life of abundance, fulfillment, and true power. Chapter 6. The Secret of Abounding Happiness. Picture a life filled with unshakable joy, where no matter what happens around you, there's an inner sense of peace and contentment that cannot be disturbed. This is the kind of happiness James Allen describes in The Secret of Abounding Happiness. But unlike fleeting moments of pleasure that come and go based on circumstances, this happiness is enduring. It's not dependent on material success, relationships, or the fulfillment of desires. It comes from within. According to Allen, this abounding happiness is available to everyone, but it requires a deep understanding of its true source. In our modern world, happiness is often seen as something to be pursued, an elusive goal that we chase through achievements, possessions, or experiences. Many people believe that if they just get the promotion, buy the house, or find the perfect partner, they'll finally be happy. But Allen challenges this notion. He tells us that true happiness cannot be found in external things because external things are impermanent. They change, they come and go, and if our happiness is tied to them, it will also fluctuate. So, where does this lasting happiness come from? Allen explains that it is the natural result of living in harmony with the deeper laws of life. Happiness is a state of mind that arises when we align our thoughts, words, and actions with principles like love, compassion, and truth. When we cultivate these inner virtues, happiness flows naturally, like a river that is unimpeded by obstacles. One of the most powerful ideas in this chapter is that happiness is not something that can be pursued. It must be allowed to arise naturally. Imagine trying to hold onto water with your hands. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. The same is true of happiness. When we chase it, it eludes us. But when we focus on living virtuously and cultivating inner peace, happiness comes to us effortlessly. Allen explains that one of the greatest barriers to happiness is attachment. When we become attached to material possessions, relationships, or outcomes, we place our happiness in the hands of things we cannot control. If we lose those things, or if they don't turn out the way we expect, we suffer. But if we can learn to let go of attachment and focus on the present moment, we free ourselves from this cycle of suffering. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting by a beautiful lake. The water is calm, the sky is clear, and you feel at peace. But then, a storm begins to brew. The wind picks up, the waves start to crash, and the sky darkens. In this situation, you have two choices. You can focus on the storm, worry about the changing weather, and let it disturb your peace. Or, you can remain calm, knowing that the storm will eventually pass, and that beneath the surface, the lake remains unchanged. Alan uses this analogy to show us that happiness is not dependent on external circumstances. It's something we carry within us. The storms of life will come and go, but if we cultivate inner peace, we can remain steady and joyful even in the midst of challenges. This doesn't mean we ignore difficulties or pretend they don't exist. It means that we face them with a calm and resilient mind, knowing that they are temporary and that our happiness doesn't depend on them. Another important aspect of happiness that Alan discusses is the role of selflessness. He explains that true happiness comes not from selfish pursuits, but from serving others. When we focus solely on our own desires and needs, we create a sense of isolation and separation from the world. This leads to feelings of loneliness, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness. But when we shift our focus outward, when we seek to uplift and support others, we create a sense of connection and unity. This selfless attitude not only benefits those around us, but also brings us a deep sense of fulfillment and joy. Consider the simple act of helping a friend or a stranger. When you offer kindness or support without expecting anything in return, how do you feel? Chances are, you feel a sense of warmth and satisfaction that goes beyond any material reward. This is the essence of what Alan is teaching us. Happiness is a byproduct of living in alignment with love and service. When we focus on giving rather than getting, happiness flows to us naturally. But how do we cultivate this selflessness in a world that often promotes the opposite? Alan reminds us that selflessness is not about neglecting our own needs or desires. It's about expanding our sense of self to include others. When we recognize that we are all connected, that the happiness of others is intertwined with our own, we naturally begin to act in ways that promote the well-being of all. This shift in perspective allows us to experience a deeper, more enduring form of happiness that goes beyond personal gain. In addition to selflessness, Alan emphasizes the importance of gratitude in cultivating abounding happiness. He explains that when we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we create a mindset of abundance. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or difficulties, but rather choosing to focus on the blessings and opportunities that exist in every situation. Gratitude shifts our perspective from one of scarcity to one of abundance, and this shift naturally leads to greater happiness. Think about a time when you were focused on what you didn't have, whether it was a material possession, a relationship, or an achievement. How did that focus make you feel? Most likely, it created a sense of lack, dissatisfaction, or even envy. Now think about a time when you were focused on what you did have. Perhaps you were grateful for your health, your family, or the simple pleasures of life. How did that make you feel? Gratitude creates a sense of fullness and contentment, regardless of external circumstances. Alan teaches us that gratitude is a powerful tool for cultivating happiness. When we train ourselves to focus on the good in every situation, we begin to see life as a series of blessings rather than challenges. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending that everything is perfect, but rather choosing to approach life with a mindset of appreciation. Over time, this practice of gratitude rewires our brains to focus on the positive, and happiness becomes our natural state of being. In summary, Alan's message in this chapter is that true, lasting happiness comes from within. It cannot be found in external things or through the pursuit of personal desires. Instead, it arises naturally when we live in alignment with the deeper principles of life. When we let go of attachment, practice selflessness, and cultivate gratitude. Happiness, Alan tells us, is our birthright. It is not something we have to chase or strive for. It is already within us, waiting to be realized. By living with love, compassion, and a focus on serving others, we tap into the deeper currents of life that lead to abounding happiness. And once we discover this inner joy, no external circumstance can take it away. The storms of life may come and go, but our happiness will remain steady, rooted in the unchanging truth of who we are. Chapter 7. The Realization of Prosperity. In this final chapter of Part 1, James Allen takes us to the heart of one of life's most sought-after goals, prosperity. But much like his exploration of happiness, Allen's definition of prosperity goes beyond the typical understanding of wealth or financial success. For Allen, prosperity is a state of mind. It is not merely about accumulating money or material possessions, but about living in harmony with the principles of truth, integrity, and right thinking. When we live in alignment with these principles, prosperity flows naturally into our lives, not just in the form of material wealth, but in the form of abundance in all areas: health, relationships, creativity, and inner peace. Allen begins by challenging the common belief that prosperity is something that can be pursued and grasped through sheer effort or luck. He explains that true prosperity is not about striving or struggling to acquire more. It is about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts abundance. Just as a healthy tree naturally produces fruit, a person who lives in alignment with the laws of life will naturally experience prosperity. This prosperity is not something that can be forced. It is the result of living with integrity, purpose, and wisdom. Imagine for a moment that prosperity is like a river. You cannot force the river to flow faster, nor can you hold on to it. All you can do is position yourself in the right place so that you can benefit from its natural flow. This is how Allen describes the path to prosperity. It is not about chasing after wealth or manipulating circumstances to our advantage. It is about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life and allowing prosperity to come to us. One of the key principles that Allen emphasizes in this chapter is self-reliance. He explains that prosperity begins with the recognition that we are the creators of our own lives. We are not dependent on others for our success or happiness. Instead, we must take full responsibility for our thoughts, actions, and decisions. When we rely on ourselves, when we cultivate our own abilities, develop our character, and make wise choices, we become the architects of our own prosperity. But self-reliance does not mean isolation or selfishness. It means trusting in our own inner resources while also recognizing that we are part of a larger whole. Just as a tree draws nourishment from the earth while also contributing oxygen to the air, we must learn to give and receive in balance. Prosperity, according to Allen, is not just about what we can get. It is also about what we can give. Those who live with a spirit of generosity, who seek to uplift and support others, are the ones who experience the deepest and most lasting prosperity. Another important aspect of prosperity that Allen discusses is the power of thought. As he has emphasized throughout the book, our thoughts shape our reality. If we think thoughts of lack, fear, or limitation, we will experience scarcity in our lives. But if we cultivate thoughts of abundance, confidence, and possibility, we will naturally attract prosperity. This is not just about positive thinking. It is about developing a mindset of abundance that aligns with the deeper truths of life. Allen explains that prosperity is not something that can be hoarded or accumulated. It is a living force that flows through us. When we hoard or cling to wealth, we cut off the natural flow of prosperity. But when we live with a spirit of generosity and openness, prosperity continues to flow into our lives. This is why Allen encourages us to approach life with a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. When we believe that there is enough for everyone, that the universe is inherently abundant, we create the conditions for prosperity to flourish. In this chapter, Allen also touches on the importance of right living. He explains that prosperity is not just about what we do, but about how we live. Those who live with honesty, integrity, and a sense of purpose will naturally attract prosperity into their lives. This is because they are in alignment with the laws of life, which are based on truth, love, and justice. On the other hand, those who seek to achieve success through dishonest or unethical means may experience temporary gains, but they will not experience true, lasting prosperity. Allen reminds us that prosperity is not an accident or a matter of luck. It is the natural result of living in harmony with the deeper principles of life. Those who cultivate wisdom, generosity, and integrity will find that prosperity flows naturally to them. But those who chase after wealth without regard for these principles may find that, even if they acquire money, they do not experience true abundance. In summary, the realization of prosperity is about much more than financial success. It is about living in alignment with the laws of life, cultivating self-reliance, generosity, and integrity. When we live in this way, prosperity flows naturally into our lives, not just in the form of material wealth, but in the form of inner peace, fulfillment, and abundance in all areas of life. Allen's message is clear. True prosperity comes from within. It is the result of right thinking, right living, and a mindset of abundance. Part 2. The Way of Peace. In the second part of From Poverty to Power, James Allen shifts the focus from external success to inner peace. He delves into the idea that true power and prosperity are not just about what we achieve in the material world, but about the peace we cultivate within ourselves. The Way of Peace is a journey into the deeper aspects of our spiritual and emotional well-being, showing us that inner peace is the foundation for a life of harmony, success, and fulfillment. Allen begins this section by reminding us that peace is the ultimate goal. While we may spend much of our lives pursuing wealth, success, and recognition, it is only through the attainment of inner peace that we can experience true contentment. He argues that many people live in a state of constant agitation, chasing after one thing or another, never satisfied, always looking for the next achievement or possession that will bring happiness. But this endless striving, he says, is a distraction from the deeper truth that peace can only be found within. Chapter 1. The Power of Meditation. Imagine sitting in a quiet space, free from distractions, where your mind is calm, clear, and focused. In this state, you feel a sense of clarity and connection to something greater than yourself. This is the power of meditation, and according to James Allen, it is one of the most important tools we can use to cultivate inner peace. Allen begins by explaining that meditation is not just about sitting in silence. It is a practice of mental discipline that allows us to gain control over our thoughts and emotions. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded by information, noise, and distractions. Our minds are often scattered, jumping from one thought to the next without focus. Meditation, Allen explains, is a way to train the mind to focus, to quiet the mental chatter, and to develop a deeper sense of self-awareness. Through regular meditation, Allen suggests, we can develop the ability to step back from our thoughts and emotions and observe them without getting caught up in them. This is a powerful skill because it allows us to remain calm and centered, even in the face of challenges. Instead of reacting impulsively to situations, we can respond from a place of clarity and wisdom. Meditation gives us the power to control our thoughts, rather than letting them control us. But what exactly is meditation, and how do we practice it? Allen explains that meditation can take many forms, but at its core, it is about concentration and reflection. It involves setting aside time each day to focus on a specific idea, principle, or goal. This could be something as simple as reflecting on the concept of peace or visualizing a desired outcome. The key is to focus the mind on one thing, and to do so with intention and purpose. Allen also emphasizes that meditation is not just about quieting the mind. It is about cultivating inner wisdom and insight. When we meditate, we create space for deeper truths to emerge. We begin to see beyond the surface-level concerns of everyday life and tap into the deeper currents of wisdom that guide our actions. This, Allen says, is the true power of meditation. It allows us to connect with our higher selves and to live in alignment with the principles of truth, love, and peace. One of the most important benefits of meditation, according to Allen, is that it helps us develop emotional resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and it's easy to get caught up in the emotions of the moment. But through meditation, we learn to observe our emotions without being controlled by them. We begin to see that emotions are temporary. They come and go like waves on the surface of the ocean. By cultivating this awareness, we can remain steady and calm, even in the midst of emotional storms. Alan reminds us that meditation is not a quick fix. It is a lifelong practice. The benefits of meditation unfold over time as we develop greater awareness, focus, and inner peace. But the rewards are profound. As we become more centered and connected to our inner selves, we begin to experience a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. We are no longer driven by external pressures or the need to prove ourselves. Instead, we live from a place of inner peace and clarity, knowing that we are aligned with the deeper truths of life. In this chapter, Alan encourages us to make meditation a daily practice. He suggests setting aside time each day to reflect, to focus, and to cultivate inner peace. Whether it's for 5 minutes or an hour, the key is to be consistent. Over time, this practice will transform not only our inner world, but also our outer experience. Meditation, Alan tells us, is the gateway to inner peace, and inner peace is the foundation for a life of harmony and success. Chapter 2. The Two Masters, Self and Truth. In this chapter, James Allen presents a powerful metaphor that forms the basis of his teaching on inner peace and self-mastery. He introduces the idea of two masters, the self and the truth. These two forces, Allen argues, are constantly vying for control of our thoughts, actions, and decisions. The self represents our ego, our desires, and the part of us that is driven by fear, attachment, and selfishness. The truth, on the other hand, represents the deeper, eternal principles that govern life, principles like love, compassion, and integrity. According to Allen, we are always serving one of these two masters. When we serve the self, we are caught up in the pursuit of personal gain, recognition, and the fulfillment of our desires. This leads to a life of constant striving, dissatisfaction, and suffering. But when we serve the truth, we live in alignment with the deeper principles of life, and this brings us peace, fulfillment, and happiness. One of the key points Allen makes in this chapter is that we cannot serve both masters at the same time. We must choose which one we will follow. If we choose to serve the self, we will be driven by our ego, and our actions will be motivated by fear, greed, and the desire for control. This may bring temporary satisfaction, but it will ultimately lead to unhappiness because the self is never satisfied. The more we feed our desires, the more they grow, and the more we feel the need to accumulate, achieve, and possess. On the other hand, if we choose to serve the truth, we will be guided by principles that are eternal and unchanging. The truth is not swayed by personal desires or external circumstances. It is a steady, guiding force that leads us to live with integrity, compassion, and wisdom. When we serve the truth, we are no longer driven by the need for personal gain or recognition. Instead, we act from a place of love, knowing that we are contributing to the greater good. Allen emphasizes that this choice between self and truth is one that we make every day, in every decision. Every action we take, every thought we think, is either in service of the self or in service of the truth. This is why self-awareness is so important, because only when we are aware of our motives and intentions can we make conscious choices about which master we will serve. But how do we know when we are serving the self and when we are serving the truth? Allen offers a simple but profound test. When we are serving the self, we feel anxious, restless, and dissatisfied. When we are serving the truth, we feel calm, centered, and at peace. This inner sense of peace is the hallmark of living in alignment with the truth. It is a signal that we are on the right path, even if that path is difficult or challenging. Allen also reminds us that serving the truth requires courage. It is not always easy to live in alignment with the deeper principles of life, especially when the world around us is driven by the pursuit of personal gain. There may be times when we are tempted to compromise our values or to take the easy way out. But Alan encourages us to remain steadfast, knowing that the rewards of living in truth far outweigh the temporary satisfaction of serving the self. In summary, this chapter presents a powerful choice that we all must make. Will we serve the self, or will we serve the truth? This choice determines the course of our lives, and it shapes the way we experience the world. By choosing to serve the truth, we align ourselves with the deeper laws of life, and we experience a sense of peace, purpose, and fulfillment that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Chapter 3: The Acquirement of Spiritual Power. Imagine a life where, no matter what challenges arise, you remain calm, centered, and confident. You are not thrown off course by difficulties, nor do you waver in moments of uncertainty. This is what James Allen refers to as spiritual power, a deep inner strength that comes from living in harmony with the principles of truth, love, and self-control. In The Acquirement of Spiritual Power, Allen shows us that this power is available to everyone, but it must be cultivated through conscious effort and practice. Allen begins by explaining that spiritual power is not something we are born with. It is something we develop through discipline, reflection, and right living. He draws a distinction between the power that comes from external sources, such as wealth, status, or physical strength, and the power that comes from within. External power is fleeting. It can be lost as quickly as it is gained, and it often leads to anxiety because it is dependent on factors outside of our control. Spiritual power, on the other hand, is unshakable. It comes from within and cannot be taken away by external circumstances. It is the strength that allows us to face life's challenges with grace, courage, and wisdom. One of the key ideas in this chapter is that spiritual power is a natural result of living in alignment with higher principles. Just as a tree grows strong and tall when it is rooted in good soil, we become spiritually powerful when we root our lives in the principles of love, integrity, and self-discipline. These principles act as the foundation for spiritual power, allowing us to stand firm even when the storms of life arise. But how do we cultivate this power? Allen offers several important steps. First, he emphasizes the importance of self-discipline. Spiritual power comes from mastering our thoughts, emotions, and actions. This means developing the ability to control our impulses, to act with intention, and to remain focused on what truly matters. Self-discipline is not about denying ourselves pleasure or suppressing our desires. It's about learning to direct our energy toward goals and actions that are in alignment with our highest values. Imagine for a moment that you are an archer aiming at a target. If your hand is shaky or your focus is scattered, your arrow will miss the mark. But if you are steady, focused, and disciplined, your arrow will fly straight and true. Self-discipline is the ability to aim your life in the direction of your highest goals and to stay on course, even when distractions or difficulties arise. Allen also emphasizes the importance of self-control. This means learning to master our emotions, especially in moments of stress or temptation. When we lack self-control, we are at the mercy of our emotions. We react impulsively, make decisions we later regret, and allow external circumstances to dictate our inner state. But when we develop self-control, we become the masters of our own minds. We learn to respond to situations thoughtfully rather than reacting out of fear or anger. Self-control gives us the power to remain calm and centered, even in the face of adversity. Another key aspect of spiritual power is patience. Allen explains that spiritual growth, like all forms of growth, takes time. Just as a seed must be planted, nurtured, and given time to grow into a tree, so too must we be patient with ourselves as we cultivate spiritual power. This means understanding that setbacks and challenges are part of the journey, and that true strength comes from persevering through difficulties. Patience allows us to stay committed to our path, even when progress seems slow or obstacles seem insurmountable. Allen also encourages us to practice forgiveness. He explains that holding on to anger, resentment, or grudges drains us of our spiritual power. When we refuse to forgive others, or ourselves, we are trapped in a cycle of negative emotions that keeps us from experiencing true peace. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior, but about freeing ourselves from the burden of carrying past pain. By letting go of anger and embracing forgiveness, we open ourselves to greater love, compassion, and spiritual growth. At the heart of Alan's message is the idea that spiritual power comes from living in alignment with truth. When we live authentically, when our thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony with our deepest values, we become spiritually strong. This truth is not just about being honest with others. It's about being honest with ourselves. It means recognizing when we are acting out of fear, selfishness, or ego, and choosing instead to act from a place of love, integrity, and compassion. Alan reminds us that spiritual power is not about controlling others or exerting force over the external world. It is about mastering ourselves, our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It is about developing the inner strength to remain calm, compassionate, and wise, even in the face of difficulty. Spiritual power allows us to navigate life with grace and resilience, knowing that we are grounded in principles that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. As we cultivate this inner strength, we begin to experience life in a different way. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming become opportunities for growth. Situations that once triggered fear or anger are met with calm and clarity. We no longer feel the need to prove ourselves or to compete with others, because we are secure in our own sense of self-worth. Spiritual power gives us the freedom to live authentically, with confidence and purpose. In summary, the acquirement of spiritual power is a journey of self-mastery and inner growth. It requires self-discipline, self-control, patience, and forgiveness. It is about living in alignment with truth, love, and integrity, and cultivating the inner strength to face life's challenges with grace and wisdom. Alan reminds us that spiritual power is not something we are given. It is something we earn through conscious effort and practice. But once we acquire it, it becomes the foundation for a life of peace, purpose, and true fulfillment. Chapter 4. The Realization of Selfless Love. In this chapter, James Allen explores one of the most transformative and powerful forces in the universe: selfless love. According to Allen, selfless love is the highest expression of spiritual power, and it is the key to unlocking true happiness, peace, and fulfillment. While many people think of love as an emotion or a feeling, Allen explains that true love is a state of being, a way of living that is rooted in compassion, kindness, and generosity. At its core, selfless love is about transcending the ego and recognizing the interconnectedness of all life. It is the understanding that we are not separate from others, but that we are all part of a greater whole. When we live with selfless love, we no longer act out of self-interest or the desire for personal gain. Instead, we act from a place of compassion and empathy, seeking to uplift and support those around us. Allen begins by explaining that selfless love is not something that comes naturally to most people. We are conditioned by society to prioritize our own needs, desires, and ambitions. From a young age, we are taught to compete with others, to strive for personal success, and to measure our worth by what we achieve or acquire. This focus on the self creates a sense of separation and isolation, leading to feelings of loneliness, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness. But Allen tells us that true happiness and fulfillment can only be found through selfless love. When we shift our focus away from ourselves and toward the well-being of others, we begin to experience a deeper sense of connection and purpose. This is because selfless love aligns us with the deeper laws of life, laws that are based on cooperation, unity, and mutual support. To live with selfless love, Allen explains, we must first let go of the ego, the part of us that seeks to control, possess, and dominate. The ego is driven by fear, scarcity, and the belief that we must protect ourselves from others. It tells us that we must compete for limited resources and that our happiness depends on getting what we want. But Allen reminds us that the ego is an illusion. It is based on a false sense of separation that blinds us to the deeper truth of our interconnectedness. When we let go of the ego, we open ourselves to the flow of love that exists all around us, We begin to see others not as competitors or obstacles, but as fellow travelers on the journey of life. This shift in perspective allows us to approach life with a spirit of generosity and kindness, knowing that by helping others, we are also helping ourselves. Alan also emphasizes that selfless love is not about self-sacrifice. It is not about neglecting our own needs or allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of. Rather, it is about expanding our sense of self to include others. When we love selflessly, we recognize that our well-being is intertwined with the well-being of those around us. We act not out of obligation or duty, but out of a genuine desire to contribute to the happiness and success of others. One of the most powerful aspects of selfless love is that it creates a ripple effect. When we act with love and kindness, we inspire others to do the same. Our actions have a positive impact not only on the people we directly interact with, but also on the larger community and the world. This ripple effect of love has the power to transform entire societies, creating a world that is more just, compassionate, and harmonious. But how do we cultivate selfless love in our daily lives? Alan offers several practical suggestions. First, he encourages us to practice empathy, the ability to see the world through the eyes of others. Empathy allows us to understand the struggles, joys, and challenges that others experience, and it helps us to respond with compassion rather than judgment. By putting ourselves in the shoes of others, we develop a deeper sense of connection and a greater capacity for love. Second, Alan reminds us to practice kindness in small, everyday actions. Selfless love is not just about grand gestures or acts of heroism. It is about the small, daily acts of kindness that make a difference in the lives of others. Whether it's offering a smile to a stranger, lending a helping hand to a friend, or listening with an open heart, these small acts of love create a ripple effect that spreads far beyond what we can see. Finally, Alan encourages us to cultivate gratitude. When we focus on the blessings in our lives and appreciate the love and support we receive from others, we naturally become more loving and generous. Gratitude opens our hearts and allows us to give freely, without expecting anything in return. In summary, selfless love is the highest expression of spiritual power. It is the key to true happiness, peace, and fulfillment. By letting go of the ego and living with compassion, kindness, and empathy, we align ourselves with the deeper laws of life. Selfless love is not about self-sacrifice. It is about recognizing our interconnectedness and acting from a place of generosity and unity. Through selfless love, we create a ripple effect that has the power to transform our lives, our communities, and the world. Chapter 5. Entering into the infinite. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, limitless ocean. The horizon stretches endlessly before you, and the waves roll gently, carrying with them the mysteries of the deep. In this chapter, James Allen invites us to dive into this metaphorical ocean, an ocean that represents the infinite potential within each of us. Entering into the infinite is about realizing that the limits we perceive in our lives, whether they are material, emotional, or intellectual, are self-imposed. According to Allen, we have the ability to transcend these limits and connect with a higher state of consciousness, where we are free from fear, doubt, and suffering. Allen begins by explaining that most people live their lives confined by self-imposed limitations. We limit ourselves by the beliefs we hold about what is possible for us, beliefs that are often shaped by society, our upbringing, and our past experiences. These beliefs create boundaries in our minds, boundaries that prevent us from reaching our full potential. For example, we might believe that we are not smart enough to pursue a certain career, or that we are not worthy of love and happiness. These beliefs become the walls of the prison we live in, keeping us from experiencing the fullness of life. But Allen reminds us that these limitations are illusions. The truth is that we are infinite beings, capable of far more than we realize. The only thing holding us back is our own mind. When we learn to break free from these mental barriers, we can enter into a state of infinite possibility, where we are no longer confined by fear, doubt, or the need for external validation. This state of infinite consciousness is what Alan refers to as entering into the infinite. So, how do we begin this journey of breaking free from our self-imposed limitations? Alan offers several key principles. First, he emphasizes the importance of recognizing the power of thought. Our thoughts create our reality, and if we want to transcend our limitations, we must first learn to control and direct our thoughts. This means becoming aware of the negative or limiting beliefs that hold us back and replacing them with thoughts of possibility, abundance, and courage. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I could never achieve that," stop and challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this belief based on truth, or is it simply a reflection of past fears and doubts? By questioning and reprogramming your thoughts, you begin to dismantle the walls of limitation that have kept you confined. Next, Alan encourages us to cultivate a sense of faith in the unseen. This faith is not about religious belief, but rather a deep, inner trust in the boundless potential that exists within and around us. Just as a seed planted in the ground grows into a tree, even though we cannot see the process happening beneath the soil, so too do our thoughts and intentions create our future, even if we cannot immediately see the results. This faith gives us the courage to move forward, to take risks, and to trust that life is unfolding in our favor. Alan also emphasizes the importance of letting go of fear. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that keep us trapped in limitation. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. These fears create barriers that prevent us from stepping into our full potential. But Alan reminds us that fear is an illusion, created by the ego to protect itself. When we let go of fear and step into the unknown with confidence, we discover that the obstacles we feared were never as insurmountable as we thought. Courage is the key to entering into the infinite. One of the most profound ideas in this chapter is the concept of oneness with the universe. Alan explains that when we enter into the infinite, we realize that we are not separate from the world around us. We are part of a larger, interconnected whole. This realization frees us from the need to compete with others, to prove ourselves, or to seek external validation. Instead, we live from a place of inner peace and contentment, knowing that we are part of something greater than ourselves. To illustrate this point, Alan uses the metaphor of a drop of water in the ocean. On its own, a drop of water may seem small and insignificant, but when it merges with the ocean, it becomes part of something vast and powerful. The drop is no longer confined by its individual boundaries. It becomes one with the infinite. In the same way, when we let go of our ego-driven desires and fears, we merge with the infinite potential of the universe. We are no longer confined by our limited sense of self. We become one with the flow of life. This state of oneness, Alan explains, is the source of true power and fulfillment. When we live in harmony with the infinite, we no longer need to force or struggle to achieve our goals. Instead, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, and success comes to us effortlessly. This doesn't mean that we won't face challenges or setbacks, but it means that we will approach them with a sense of calm and clarity, knowing that we are supported by the infinite wisdom and power of the universe. Alan also reminds us that entering into the infinite is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. It requires us to continually let go of fear, doubt, and attachment, and to trust in the process of life. This practice of surrendering to the infinite allows us to experience life in a deeper, more meaningful way. We become more present, more aware, and more connected to the world around us. We no longer feel the need to rush through life, chasing after fleeting desires. Instead, we live with a sense of purpose and fulfillment, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be. In summary, entering into the infinite is about breaking free from the self-imposed limitations that keep us confined. It is about recognizing the power of our thoughts, cultivating faith in the unseen, and letting go of fear. When we do this, we tap into the infinite potential within and around us, and we begin to live in harmony with the flow of life. Alan reminds us that this state of oneness with the universe is the source of true power, peace, and fulfillment. By practicing this daily, we can experience life in a more profound and meaningful way, free from the limitations that once held us back. Chapter 6: Saints, Sages, and Saviors, the Law of Service. James Allen takes a deep dive into one of the most powerful principles in the universe in this chapter, the law of service. At first glance, this concept might seem simple. Service is about helping others, right? But Allen goes much deeper, explaining that service is not just about individual acts of kindness or charity. It is a fundamental law of the universe that governs the flow of life itself. Those who live in alignment with this law, whom Allen refers to as saints, sages, and saviors, are those who experience the highest form of power, peace, and fulfillment. Allen begins by explaining that service is the key to unlocking true greatness. Many people believe that greatness comes from personal achievement, wealth, or status. But Allen challenges this notion. He explains that true greatness is not about what we accumulate or accomplish for ourselves, but about how we contribute to the well-being of others. Those who dedicate their lives to serving others are the ones who achieve the highest level of success and fulfillment. This is because service is in harmony with the deeper laws of life, laws that are based on love, compassion, and unity. But what does it mean to live in service? Allen emphasizes that service is not just about performing acts of charity or helping those in need, although those things are important. True service is a way of life. It is about approaching every interaction, every decision, with the intention of contributing to the well-being of others. Whether we are at work, at home, or in our communities, we are constantly presented with opportunities to serve. It could be something as simple as offering a kind word, listening with empathy, or going out of our way to help someone in need. Allen also makes it clear that service is not about self-sacrifice or martyrdom. It is not about neglecting our own needs or allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of. True service comes from a place of abundance, not lack. When we live in service, we are not giving away our energy or resources in a way that depletes us. Instead, we are tapping into an infinite source of love and compassion, which flows through us and is replenished as we give. The more we serve, the more we receive in return, not necessarily in material wealth, but in the form of inner peace, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. One of the key ideas in this chapter is that service is the path to spiritual growth. Those who live in service to others are the ones who experience the highest form of spiritual power. This is because service requires us to transcend the ego and to act from a place of love and compassion. As we serve others, we become more aware of our interconnectedness with all of life. We begin to see that we are not separate from those we are serving. What we do for others, we do for ourselves. This realization leads to a deeper sense of unity and peace. Allen explains that saints, sages, and saviors are those who have mastered the law of service. These individuals are not driven by personal ambition or the desire for recognition. Instead, they are motivated by a deep sense of love and compassion for all of life. They understand that the highest form of power is not the power to control or dominate, but the power to uplift and support others. These individuals are not confined by the limitations of the ego. They live in alignment with the deeper laws of life, and as a result, they experience a profound sense of peace, joy, and fulfillment. But Allen also reminds us that we don't have to be saints or sages to live in service. Each of us, in our own way, can contribute to the well-being of others. Whether we are teachers, doctors, artists, or business owners, we can approach our work with the intention of serving others. We can use our skills, talents, and resources to make a positive impact on the world. This is how we align ourselves with the law of service and experience the profound rewards that come from living in harmony with this principle. In summary, the law of service is a fundamental law of the universe that governs the flow of life. Those who live in service to others are the ones who experience the highest form of spiritual power, peace, and fulfillment. Service is not about self-sacrifice or martyrdom. It is about living in alignment with the deeper laws of love, compassion, and unity. By dedicating ourselves to the well-being of others, we transcend the limitations of the ego and tap into an infinite source of love and abundance. Through service, we become saints, sages, and saviors in our own right, contributing to the upliftment of the world and experiencing the profound rewards of living in harmony with the law of service. Chapter 7. The Realization of Perfect Peace. Imagine living a life where no matter what happens around you, whether it's chaos, challenges, or conflicts, you remain perfectly calm, at peace, and unshaken. This is the ultimate goal that James Allen presents in the final chapter of The Way of Peace. The realization of perfect peace. He explains that this state of mind, though it may seem unattainable, is within the reach of anyone who is willing to live in harmony with the principles he has outlined throughout the book. Perfect peace is not just a distant ideal. It is the natural result of living in alignment with truth, love, and selflessness. Allen begins by addressing a common misconception, that peace is something we must seek or chase after, much like we pursue happiness or success. But Allen argues that peace is not something external that can be found or achieved through effort. Peace is already within us, waiting to be realized. The problem, he explains, is that we often block ourselves from experiencing this peace because of the mental and emotional turmoil we create through fear, anger, attachment, and ego. These negative states of mind cloud our ability to perceive the peace that is always present just beneath the surface of our thoughts and emotions. In this chapter, Allen emphasizes the importance of stilling the mind. Just as a calm lake reflects the sky perfectly when its surface is undisturbed, so too does the mind reflect the truth of life when it is free from agitation. But when our minds are disturbed by negative emotions, our perception becomes distorted, and we lose touch with the peace that resides within us. This is why Allen encourages us to practice mental stillness and detachment, to let go of the thoughts and emotions that create disturbance in our lives. But how do we cultivate this stillness? Allen explains that it begins with self-mastery, the ability to control our thoughts and emotions rather than being controlled by them. This does not mean suppressing or denying our emotions, but rather developing the ability to observe them without becoming entangled in them. For example, if we experience anger, rather than reacting impulsively, we can take a step back and observe the anger without judgment. This act of observation creates a space between ourselves and our emotions, allowing us to respond with clarity and wisdom rather than being swept away by the intensity of the moment. Allen also reminds us that perfect peace comes from living in harmony with the deeper laws of life. These laws, as he has discussed throughout the book, are based on truth, love, and compassion. When we live in alignment with these principles, we naturally experience peace because we are no longer in conflict with the world around us. Conflict arises when we act out of ego, selfishness, or attachment. But when we live with integrity, kindness, and selflessness, we move in harmony with the flow of life, and this creates a sense of peace that is unshakable. In this chapter, Allen introduces the idea of detachment, not in the sense of withdrawing from life or becoming indifferent to the world, but in the sense of letting go of our attachment to outcomes. Detachment, according to Allen, is the key to peace because it frees us from the emotional highs and lows that come with attachment. When we are attached to a particular outcome, whether it's success, recognition, or the fulfillment of a desire, we become anxious and restless. We fear failure, rejection, or disappointment, and this fear disturbs our peace. But when we let go of attachment and trust in the natural flow of life, we remain calm and centered, regardless of what happens. Detachment does not mean that we stop caring about our goals or relationships. It means that we pursue our goals and engage in relationships with an open heart, but without clinging to a specific outcome. We do our best, but we are not attached to the results. This attitude of detachment allows us to live with greater freedom and peace because we are no longer enslaved by our desires and fears. Allen also touches on the idea of forgiveness as a pathway to peace. He explains that holding on to anger, resentment, or grudges creates inner conflict and keeps us trapped in a cycle of negativity. Forgiveness, on the other hand, frees us from this cycle and allows us to experience peace. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior. It is about letting go of the emotional burden of holding on to past pain. When we forgive others and ourselves, we release the mental and emotional weight that keeps us from experiencing peace. But perhaps the most important message in this chapter is that peace is not something that happens to us. It is something we create. Alan explains that peace is a choice we make in every moment. It is the result of the thoughts we think, the actions we take, and the attitudes we cultivate. If we want to experience peace, we must commit to living in a way that fosters peace within ourselves and in the world around us. This means choosing love over fear, compassion over judgment, and truth over deception. It means letting go of attachment and living with integrity and selflessness. In the final pages of this chapter, Alan offers a vision of what life can look like when we realize perfect peace. He describes a state of mind in which we are no longer disturbed by the events of the world. Challenges may arise, but they do not shake our inner peace. We may face difficulties, but we approach them with calmness, clarity, and confidence. In this state of perfect peace, we are free from the need to prove ourselves, to compete with others, or to accumulate material possessions. We live with a sense of deep contentment, knowing that we are aligned with the deeper truths of life. Alan concludes the chapter by reminding us that peace is not just for the individual, it is for the world. When we cultivate peace within ourselves, we contribute to the creation of peace in the world. Just as a single stone can create ripples that spread across a pond, so too does our inner peace radiate outwards, influencing those around us. In this way, the realization of perfect peace is not just a personal achievement, it is a gift to the world. Conclusion: the path from poverty to power. As we come to the end of From Poverty to Power, James Allen leaves us with a powerful and uplifting message. The journey from poverty to power is a journey of inner transformation. It is not about accumulating wealth, status, or material success. It is about cultivating the qualities of mind and heart that lead to true fulfillment, qualities like love, compassion, integrity, and self-discipline. Throughout the book, Alan has shown us that our external circumstances are a reflection of our internal state. Poverty, whether material or spiritual, arises from a mindset of fear, doubt, and selfishness. But power, true power, comes from living in alignment with the deeper principles of life. When we cultivate positive, empowering thoughts and live with integrity and love, we naturally experience prosperity, success, and peace. Alan's message is one of empowerment. We are not victims of our circumstances. We have the power to shape our lives through the thoughts we think and the actions we take. By mastering our minds and living in alignment with truth, we can overcome any challenge, transcend any limitation, and create a life of abundance, happiness, and fulfillment. But this journey is not just about personal success. It is about contributing to the well-being of others and the world. Alan reminds us that the highest form of success is found in service. When we live with a spirit of generosity and compassion, we align ourselves with the deeper laws of life, and we experience a sense of peace and fulfillment that goes beyond material wealth. In the end, the journey from poverty to power is a journey of self-mastery and spiritual growth. It is about realizing that we are not separate from the world around us, but part of a larger, interconnected whole. When we live with love, integrity, and selflessness, we tap into the infinite power of the universe, and we create a life of true prosperity and peace. James Allen's From Poverty to Power is a timeless guide for anyone seeking to live a life of purpose, fulfillment, and inner peace. It reminds us that the key to success and happiness lies not in the external world, but within ourselves. By cultivating the qualities of mind and heart that lead to true power, we can overcome any obstacle, transcend any limitation, and create a life of lasting joy and abundance. The final takeaway is clear. The power to transform your life is within you. It begins with your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions. As you cultivate self-discipline, integrity, love, and compassion, you will naturally experience the prosperity, success, and peace that are your birthright. This is the path from poverty to power, the path to a life of true fulfillment.